Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 808 podcast. The podcast is 8 minutes and 8 seconds because 808 looks like Bob. Today, we're doing something special. I've got our CEO, TC, on. I'm going to give her one question. She has 8 minutes and 8 seconds to answer it. Here we go. TC, here is the question. Oh, there it is. How do you use a short podcast for networking and content? Go.
Okay, so I want to talk about, and first of all, to let everybody know, we've done over 1,200 of these. So we have done a huge amount of networking in the last couple of years. Okay. So everyone thinks that a podcast needs to be an hour long. They think that a podcast needs to go in depth into one thing. They really focus on all of that, right? And some are 30 minutes, some are 20 minutes, but really people are focusing on long term. Okay. And the podcast is really focused on making the interviewer look good.
Right.
Okay. They want to build their credibility by who they're interviewing. They also talk a lot. In fact, didn't you tell me about one that you went on? That
90 minutes. I talked for 5.
Okay. Now that's not usual.
Right.
That's not usual, but it does happen. Okay. So everybody thinks that, and they also think that if you're going to do a podcast, you need to do pre-production, you post-production, you need to, get their bio, you need to do all of these things. Okay. We believe in what we call a netcast. This is a podcast that's used for networking, under 10 minutes long. You do not need a bio because our first question is in a few sentences. Tell us who you are and what you do. This way you don't have to worry about saying their name right.
Exactly. And TC, I don't know about you, but when I'm on, I want to hear the other person's voice and them talking about themselves instead of me talking about them.
Yeah, they'll do a much better job. Right?
Right.
Then you ask them a question. And the thing is, if you do it right, you don't even have to edit it. So in the time that it takes you to do one podcast, you can do 4 to 5 podcasts. Netcast, a short podcast is a netcast. Okay, a 4 or 5 during the same time. So instead of taking 2.5 hours because of the editing, because of all the things that you're doing, whether you do it or somebody else does it, we do it in 35 minutes?
Yeah, we can do an entire podcast from the moment someone gets on. With the podcast itself takes 15 minutes with pre-production and post-production. You'll basically talk to them before and after, explaining what's going on there. Networking time, 5 minutes to post. Now, another thing that I'm hearing from other people is they'll say, well, you can get a podcast edited for $5. That is true. But first, you have to go download the file. You then have to send them an email to upload the file. So it's not $5. It's actually the time it takes you to get the content to that person plus the $5.
And get it back.
Right.
And did they edit it the way you wanted it edited?
Right.
Really, truly.
Well, now you better listen to it to make sure.
Because nothing would be worse than you get one out. Now, let's say you get somebody you like editing. You still have to do all that stuff or pay a VA to do it. We're talking about literally it's done recording. You wait till Zoom, what do you call it? Zoom
propagates
it up, propagates it, right? And you post it.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Now, the reason that this is so good is because we also use it for content. So for this one, I think we're going to just talk about networking. And then Bob, we're going to do tomorrow, we'll do the one on content. Okay.
I'll allow it.
All right. So networking is now instead of talking to one person, you get to talk to 4 or 5 people in the same time.
Right.
The second thing is your big influencers, your CEOs that are really busy, don't have time to get on an hour podcast, even a 20-minute podcast, even a 30-minute podcast. When you tell them it's going to be under 10 minutes, they say yes, especially CEOs that have had their team bugging them that they need to create content. And remember, this content's focused on them. So you get more guests. People want to be on because it's about them, not about you.
Right.
Okay, when you do yours, Bob, sometimes you forget to say the name of our company.
Yeah, sometimes I do because it's all about them.
In fact, you don't even say the name of the company during the podcast. It's in the notes, but you never say this is OnFire Ignites.
Right.
Okay, so the point is that if you focus on trying to talk to people, you want to talk to as many people and network with them. And Bob, you've done some amazing networking with the people that you've been able to contact.
Yeah, it's It's an easy way to get into the door, because instead of saying, hi, TC, I have a really amazing widget. Do you know anyone who might want to buy it? All that dumb stuff you get on LinkedIn and Facebook all the time. It's, hey, you want to be on my podcast? Takes 15 minutes to record. Done.
Yeah, totally, completely different. In fact, our clients tell us, here's what they say. They have gotten in front of more people in the last few weeks than they did in the last 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just because it's shorter, it's because people are saying yes more often.
Right.
It is also, you're not only saving time getting the guests, because nobody in that 2.5 hours, you forgot about finding the guests.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we also have clients that have a long form podcast. Okay. They use the Netcast to audition people.
Yeah.
Because nothing's worse than to get somebody on your long-term podcast and they suck.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, the difference is using a short form podcast. One, more people will say yes. You'll get to network more people. It'll take less time. It'll be easier to get guests.
Right.
Right? Yes, yes, and yes. And if you want to know how, check us out. The link's below. We have done over 1,200.
We're close to 1,400, actually, just to let you know.
Oh, okay, 1,400. We've done over 1,400 episodes. Okay, so we know how to make this work.
Right.
And if you'd like to know some of our secrets, okay, check us out below.
There we go. So TC, was that your closing statement?
That is my closing statement, and we'll talk about content tomorrow.
Perfect. Yeah, pulled it off. One question in 8 minutes and 8 seconds, because 808 looks like Bob. Everyone, my name is Bob Clark, and I am legally required to tell you to make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe, thumbs up, whatever the heck the social media network wants you to do. You all have a wonderful day. I will talk to you later. Bye.